Your edits look good.
Yeah, appreciate it. So yeah, we hired somebody to do all that. I tried to struggle with that. It was a little tough for
Yeah.
me.
Well,
But
I could tell the one we collabed on before that it looks really professional.
appreciate it.
I can tell that it takes either a bunch of time or somebody else doing it.
Yeah, that's the thing. I had too many videos that I couldn't really put my best edits and still be consistent with the videos. So that's why I was like, no, man, we just gonna have to find somebody. And the cool thing is, I like your edits too. How you break down your film, so that's cool actually.
Yeah, I just use CapCut and I've gotten a lot better, so it doesn't take as long anymore. But
Mm-hmm.
just to do the voiceovers and then add stickers like circles or drawings on it. So
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty simple from my end, although it took me a while to get used to it. But it's you got a different level with all the some of the graphics too.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I was using at first too. I was using CapCut, and then they did their own software and stuff. But that's what I was using at first, CapCut. And CapCut is very useful. I ain't mad at CapCut at all. So that got my respect for sure. Well, we can hop into this joint. So, what you like to be called, Coach? Gonna be called Coach Erik, Coach Colonna. What you like to be called?
Well, it could be anyone. For this, you could say Coach Colonna.
Okay.
Might sound a little bit more professional, but
All right.
anything really. Like
All
if
right.
we're talking, Erik works.
All right. Cool. 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 So, what's up, everybody? Oh shoot. What's up, everybody? Here with Off the Field with Isaiah Robinson. We got a special one for you today. We here with Coach Colonna from Canada. How you doing today, Coach?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me out. It's really excited to be here. I like the content you post, see some of the interviews, so it's pretty good to be a part of it.
Appreciate you. Appreciate you coming on, man. We got a special one for you guys today. So make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe to the channel so we can keep bringing in guests like this all the way from Canada. That is so crazy. So can you share about your journey? Because you played actually in college in the USA. And then how did you end up making that transition to coaching in Canada?
Well, no, my college was so I'd say Queens. That's Queens University, which is actually up here in Ontario. So
Okay.
I've just been in Canada, which surprises lots of guys. Most guys I talk to on Instagram, obviously football is a lot bigger in the States. And my journey with football, I started here when I was 9. I played all the way up through high school, went to a university a few hours away. And really what helped me out was just having some really high level coaches who played in the States, who played in the NFL, who played professionally, some guys Canada or overseas. And I've just always been one to ask why and take as much as I can from other guys and learn from it. And that was one thing that really helped me from going from a player to a coach. And now I'll coach guys who are in the States or all around the world with my online training. But yeah, I've actually, fun fact, only been in Canada for in terms of where I've played.
Oh wow. Okay. Cool. 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 My fault. My fault.
I wish I was from the States, so football's so much bigger there.
So, what's the difference from growing up with Canada football than what you see in the States?
Well, a few things that are different for the actual sport is that as a defensive back, it makes it, say, a little bit tougher because receivers get a big run up. So in the States, I believe it's only one guy can be in motion at a time after everybody's set. In Canada, all the eligibles could be moving. They can go a 15-yard run up full speed if they want to.
Man.
We also got 3 downs instead of 4. You have to give the punter or the punt returner 5 yards of space when he catches it. There's a few other silly rules, like maybe you've seen some of the videos where the team catches it in the CFL, but then he punts it 1 yard for the first down and then picks it up. So there's a few weird things like that. It's when you're actually playing, though, it's not too different from being around Canadian football my whole life growing up to doing, say, lots of the content I do now is obviously NFL and American football based. A lot of it is very similar in terms of defensive back technique work, which is what I specialize in terms of coverage. The zones aren't too different. We have an extra man on the field, but a lot of it's the same type of stuff. I'd say one thing I definitely noticed is just from being around guys who are in Canada and in the States is that Americans are just a lot faster and start training at a younger age. So that's my motivation for Pick Six Athletics, is just starting to develop guys at a higher level from a younger age, because you guys have a ton of resources, and not everybody does, but there's a
Mhm.
lot of high level coaching everywhere. But even
Mhm.
here, there's only so many coaches around that have either played at a high level or who get really big on the technical side of things. So my goal after I was finished playing was just bring that high level coaching for defensive backs to my
Mhm.
area, and then also help guys online, because not everybody is in that environment where it's all about football, where they have a bunch of good coaches around them. And there's a ton of things throughout my career I learned that I wish I knew when I was younger that would help me develop.
Mhm.
So, yeah, those are a couple of the differences. Then the biggest one is just the developmental side of it. How much less, say, of that high level coaching we have here.
Mm. So what do you feel like you owe your development to, and what do you feel like the biggest development was for you to even get to that next step?
I would owe it to some of the really good coaches I've had at every level, and just also, so always listening to them, always asking why, always trying to learn more, annoying them with too many questions sometimes, which has really helped me in terms of learning things to teach to other people.
Mhm.
So aside from all that, from the education side, what really helped me develop was just having a very, very big work ethic, and always being on the field after practice, doing extra drills, always spending extra time watching film, talking to my teammates about the film to try to figure out the why behind our defense or what the offense is doing. And it's something where if you don't put in the time, you just won't get the same out of it.
Mm.
If I wasn't spending so much extra time on the field doing drill work, not everything would make sense. I wouldn't realize the same types of things in terms of, where my feet should be, how the break should look. If I wasn't getting more competitive reps in, there's a bunch of things I wouldn't learn, because if you just do a couple and you do them right, that's great. Then you kind of stop developing. But if you do 10 extra reps, a couple you do wrong, a couple you do right, and then after you go home, you think about it, which is the main key, evaluating your reps, watching the film back if you have it, and just thinking why this one went right, why this one went wrong, and then just building on from there. So
Mm.
nobody knows everything, and I'm always want to try to just keep learning and keep learning. And
Mhm.
that also shows in a lot of the posts I've been doing now will show like the top clip, the guy's doing something wrong, the bottom clip, the guy's doing something right. And
Mhm.
just to show people the difference, like this is what it shouldn't look like, this is what it should look like. So instead of having to go through it as much and learn a bunch of lessons over a career, I
Mhm.
want to help people just fast track that and do it as quick as they can.
I like it. I like it. So when I was growing up, you would hear like your coach, the best coach is yourself, right? So did you always want to be a coach? What made you transition from playing to coaching? How was that for you?
No, the funny thing was I never even wanted to really be a coach. It was so the quick little backstory to when I
Mhm.
started off Pick Six Athletics. It was in my first year in res. I was just getting bored of schoolwork and just for the entrepreneurship side of things, because I know you connect sports and athletes. I
Mhm.
was getting bored of school and I was watching YouTube videos. It was like how to get rich quick. And then one of the ideas was do an ebook. And this
Mhm.
was 5, 6 years ago. I was like,
Mhm.
okay, what do I know a lot about? It was DB drills, which at the time, looking back, was my knowledge was a lot less.
Mhm.
So I started planning it out. I still got my notebook somewhere, just different drills. How would I put it together? How would I market it? And I got the idea to make an Instagram account to help promote it. I never did anything with that for about a year and a half. And
Mhm.
then once the pandemic came and we had no season, um, then I actually started putting it to action. I started training a few guys in this area. I'm from Mississauga, so I started training a few guys here for free, filming content,
Mhm.
posting it online. And then the following year, when we did have a season, I just continued it. So I was posting some drills, posting my workouts of me and my teammates. Everybody was super supportive.
Mhm.
And it just slowly grew from there. I never had the intention of getting into coaching after. I wanted to play in university, hopefully professionally after. But I did business at Queen, so I was just going to start more of a business type job after. And
Mhm.
then, so it's been 4 years now because I was in 2020.
Mhm.
Since the profile has been growing, since I started training a lot more guys in person, I've really realized the need for my services, especially in this area, because no other specialized DB coaches. So instead of making it my goal from the start that I want to be a coach or a trainer, I really just wanted to put some stuff out there. And then from noticing that problem in the market and that I was able to help solve, and I realized it'd be a great opportunity for me to keep doing football and for me to help other guys out develop.
I love it. I love it. So online coaching is something huge right now, right after the pandemic, right? Everything's online. So what can you share to somebody that wants to start their own online training system? And was this some tips or some steps that they could skip to get to where you are?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I'm still learning a bunch of different tricks and how to do it the best way. What I would say I wish I did in the beginning, which I had to kind of go back and just took longer. If you want to do online training, you probably need a drill bank or an exercise bank of yourself doing the workouts. So what I use is YouTube, and I just unlist the videos. I don't know why it's even free. It's such a great service. I have like 1,000 videos on my YouTube channel unlisted where I have all the drills. So right when I started training, what I wish I would have done was film everything, store it on YouTube, sort it into different playlists so everything's organized. What I actually did for the first few years was just post it, delete it, post it, delete it. And then some clips are on my old hard drive, so it's kind of just a mess. So if you're looking to start online training, I would recommend just getting everything filmed. The way I do it is put on that unlisted link in the description. I'll put the text box below because I had two priorities. One was minimize the cost because as a student, when I started doing this a while ago, I wasn't really making any money. So I didn't want to pay a lot for Team Builder or, just different apps that there are. So one was cost. I just wanted to do it unlisted on YouTube to save myself money. But then two was flexibility, which this is actually good timing for the podcast because when we talked a few weeks ago, I was using Wix for all my online programs. If you don't know, Wix is it's a website hosting service. So I have my website through Wix. And then they also have an online program feature where you could build online programs, people pay a membership, and everything was in Wix. But since I did all my videos on YouTube unlisted, and I use Google Sheets for everything for all my planning, and I have all the programs pasted in there. When it was time to switch, which I just did a week and a half ago, I switched to a new platform called Mighty Networks, which is great. It connects the community aspect of it. It really focuses on, so guys are in the chats asking questions. It's really easy to put online programs in terms of exercises and then also courses. So what I'm working on right now is doing a course for man coverage to teach about all the techniques and everything. So my second priority, the first one was low cost. The second one was flexibility. I wanted to be able to take anything from one platform and move it to another. And why that became a priority was because when I was first starting out, I had my videos on a different platform, and the coach messaged me a few years ago. He's like, "Hey, use our platform." So I did. And the only problem was the videos all stored on there. So when I stopped using it, I could have went through and saved one by one. It would have just taken a bunch of time. And I realized if I wanted to switch, it would take a lot of time. The other thing was the way their slides. So I'm going to get a little bit technical for the people who actually want to get into the online training world. The way it's set up in their programs, lesson by lesson by lesson, you had to build it all there. So it was kind of like Instagram stories where you could swipe to the next lesson, but everything was there. There was a few problems. I wasn't able to just copy and paste if I wanted to duplicate a lesson, and there's just other things like that. So my overall message would be try to limit the cost, try to make it where if you want to switch platforms, you could do so in an easy way. And then my overall goal, which I didn't say yet, would be, well, my overall tip would be have a plan from the start of where you want to go in the long term. Like I said, if I knew I would need this film bank, I would have started saving everything from the start. It would have been a lot less work. If I knew that, if I thought about what I would want my setup to look like down the road, I would have just started on Mighty Networks. and made it easier because I wouldn't have to transition over. So for anyone who's looking to start online coaching, I would just say those tips and really just think about where you want to take it and set yourself up so it's not more work down the road. You're just setting it up in the right way where it can keep growing from there.
I like it. I like it. Hold on right quick. I'm about to level this camera down, so I gotta keep looking up.
Sorry, that was a bit too long.
Oh, no, you're good.
I had a lot of tips there.
All right, so I like it, man, for sure. You gave me some tips. I need to do something. So don't apologize for that at all. So I don't know if you know this or not, but I actually own a life insurance agency, and our parent company is in Canada. So Ontario, Canada. And I noticed that Canadians are a little bit more conservative and a little bit more slow paced. However, you seem full speed and ahead and cutting edge type of guy, right? So how do you develop the fast paced mentality?
I would think of it as the most important thing in business is moving fast. If you don't do it, your competitor will. So I always try to move really quick and provide the best services as fast as I can. Because if I wait, then somebody else would do it, a different DB trainer, a different DB coach. And then what I would say really drives the urgency in me, well, one is knowing you never really know when it's going to all end. So I want to make the most out of my life. I'm still young, but you never know that. But what really drives the urgency is just, I'd say, my to-do list, because I'm setting it up for my defensive back training app through Mighty Networks. It's called Lockdown Academy. And I want it to be really an all-in-one platform for defensive backs. So right now I have probably around like 10 different types of programs in terms of there's a couple lifting, there's a couple on field and such. And then I have a few different courses. One of them's just teaching about back pedals. The other one's about different breaks and movements. The other one's technique for 40-yard dash. I'm working on a man coverage course right now. But my to-do list is so big. I have to do all the different coverages. I want to teach you about zone, reading an offense, watching film. So the way I look at it is I have so much to do that I don't want to waste a bunch of time and keep delaying things. So I'm trying to build the best product I can. So come this off season and come going into next season, any defensive back who's willing to work hard can join, become a member, and really just have whatever they need to up their game.
I like it. So being a defensive back is like 80% mental, like 20% technique. So how do you prepare your athletes for the mental side after they get beat or somebody just head tops them, just go crazy on them, and they got to come back the next play? How do you prepare your athletes for that?
So the first thing they have to understand is that everybody gets beat at defensive back. And if you haven't got beat, one of my old coaches would say this: if you haven't got beat, you just haven't been playing long enough. You watch any great defensive back, he's gotten beat at some point. So you know what happens to everybody. You have to come in with the mentality that you're going to win every play. And just because you might get beat doesn't mean you're thinking about it at all. Failure shouldn't even be on your head. So as a defensive back, you need to have a bunch of confidence, which you develop from winning reps in practice, from doing well in games, from getting a lot of training in to know you outwork your opponent. In terms of the actual, which you brought up, I call it short-term mentality. If you get head topped, if something bad happens, you just have to reset and think about the next play. So there's a couple of things I really like to talk about. One is my head coach at Queens said this a couple of years ago and it really stuck. Every play in football is its own life. So it doesn't matter what happens before or after. You just have to make the most of the current play, because you never know when that play could be the special one, the one that changes the game, the one that's at the start of your highlight tape, the one that's a huge play. So you can't get down on yourself. And the example that I always use is Malcolm Butler. Remember when he got that pick in the Super Bowl? And remember that catch from the Seahawks receiver, Curse, when he was catching it in a bobble and then it was like down here?
Yeah.
So that was 2 plays before, plus it was on Malcolm Butler. If he got down on himself because Curse had that crazy catch on him, then he wouldn't have driven that route with no hesitation and went to pick the ball off. He had good mental fortitude and knew to reset and just treat every play like its own. Because if you get down on yourself, if you start to hesitate and don't drive things fast, then you're not going to make the play. So you just have to treat every play with full confidence, like you made a bunch of great plays right before it, and like you're going to make the next one. Last thing I'll compare it to is I've had a couple sales jobs just in my summer internships. And if you get down on yourself because you've failed or you got rejected a bunch of times, then you're going to just bring your energy level lower. You're going to start thinking more like a loser. Your confidence is going to drop. You have to knock on every door, approach every sale with the same mentality, like you're going to close a deal, like you're going to kill it. Otherwise, it's never going to actually work out. You just got to keep that energy up the whole time.
Okay, I like it. And
actually, one more thing I'll add, sorry, is just also keeping that long-term vision. So know that come later in your career, you're going to be great. Understand the path you're on, and it's okay to have some of the ups and downs along the way. That's what's going to be a part of that journey. So keep that long-term vision in mind.
That's funny because I was going to ask you, how could you translate that same mindset and mentality to the real world? And you definitely just answered it. But if you have anything else to just capitalize on that, I would love to hear.
Yeah, it translates to the real world, and there's a bunch of things that being an athlete directly translates in terms of being a good teammate, working with guys when you are a bit more experienced, being a leader, learning how to manage different personalities. And say you're a leader of life insurance sales and you got guys on your team who are fighting with each other. You got to learn how to talk to both of them, calm them down, make sure that you paint a vision for the team where everybody, whether you like each other or not, everybody's got to come together for the bigger goal and just focus on the task at hand. In terms of that short-term mentality for the real world, I would say the same thing. Is you got to just reset. You're going to have some good days. You're going to have some bad days. You might do a bunch of work on a project. I know you said right before this you use CapCut. Sometimes it might just all delete. So you just have to accept the loss and just restart from there, and just understand that no matter how good you feel on your high days, how bad you feel on your low days, it's always going to come back to balance. And that's what makes life good also. If everything always went right, it wouldn't feel as if everything was always bad. Sorry, let me restart. If everything was good, then it wouldn't feel the same as compared to when you mix the bad days in. So you wouldn't, what's it, the 50 Cent lyric? You wouldn't appreciate the sun without the rain. Joy wouldn't be the same without the pain, right? Yeah. So you have to just know that it's all a part of the journey. Keep that end goal in mind and just work to reset, because you never know when the next phone call, the next day, the next sale is going to be the special one. So you just got to treat it all like the same.
So how does that translate specifically into entrepreneurship and running a business?
I would say in terms of the short-term mentality, the same. For translating just as a whole in football training, being an athlete, defensive back to entrepreneurship, there is a ton of the same qualities. And a few that really stick out is one, the work ethic. So like I said earlier, what helped me develop as a defensive back would be listening to other people, my vets on the team, older players, coaches, trainers who are more experienced, learning from them. And then the other side of what helped me develop as a player was just putting in the work and being on the field a bunch, getting a bunch of reps in, working out in the weight room, not only to get better, but because you actually learn the more you do. So I equate that to being in business. I got to learn from other people who have done it before. So if it's not talking to somebody who's above where I'm at, it would be learning from watching different videos or courses or reading, that type of stuff, just always educating, and then also putting in a bunch of work. So I try to maximize my day and just get as much work in as I can as possible to keep building value or creating content or making courses or still working out myself to make sure I'm staying up to date with everything and continuing to learn how I move and just being able to teach that to other guys. So it's all about continuing to educate yourself and just always being a student of the game or a student in the work environment, and then always being willing to work hard, do more, not only because it's going to make your business better and because you'll have more customers or more sales or more money, but you're also going to learn so much just from taking action and just working. the worst thing you could do is just sit back and take a bunch of way too much time off, or sit back and just over analyze and overthink everything. You have to take action and just put in a bunch of work, and then things start falling into place from there.
For sure, for sure. So what key skills do you believe are essential for a defensive back to succeed?
I would say number one is speed. If you are slow, you won't be able to cover. So you have to be fast. And I don't know, it was crazy because growing up, it seemed like it wasn't a big focus, at least in Canada. And it'd be like, oh, he's a fast guy, or this guy's slow. You have to be fast to cover the fastest receivers. You won't be able to if you're not fast. To keep up with the fastest running backs when you're going to tackle them, you have to be fast as well. So the number one things defensive backs have to have is speed. Before you become a technician, before you have really good ball skills, you have to run fast. You could have the best footwork in the game. If you can't run, you won't be able to cover. If just say a team puts a track runner at receiver and he just runs straight, you have to be able to cover him, right? So speed's number one. And then aside from that, I would say eye discipline would be number two. If you're just getting caught looking at the quarterback, or your eyes are in the backfield, they're in the wrong spot. Even when you tackle or in man coverage, if you're looking up at the receiver's head and he gives you a little move, you're going to do the wrong thing and be out of position. So eye discipline is huge as a defensive back. If you're always locked in exactly where they should be, whether you're in man coverage, I'm looking at the hip. If I'm in zone, I'm reading my receivers. At the same time, I'm reading the quarterback. If I'm tackling, I like to have my eyes on his hips too when I'm tackling to not get fooled out by any of the head fakes. You need to have good eye discipline to be consistent, and being really good consistently is what makes great defensive backs. So speed, eye discipline, and then from there, I would say is when the footwork and the technique comes in to play a lot more. So staying square when you're supposed to, using your hands properly, having smooth footwork, extending when you go, high pointing the ball, just knowing where the receiver is when you look back for the ball. That's where it all comes into play. But really what you got to focus on as a defensive back is having good eyes and running really fast, and it will make everything a lot easier.
Love it, man. So, I'm a finance guy, so we know we had to have our little financial period. So I'm really about creating generational wealth and just creating that financial freedom for the next generation, or even people that's living right now. So I'm not sure if you do, but do you educate your players about managing finances or investments?
I don't. And I started my in-person training a lot more just coming back to town in January. And so I've just been focusing, especially on my online training, in terms of the football side of things. I do plan, after I make a few more courses, to add a section to Lockdown Academy for student athlete, or just in general resources. So I'm going to do how to apply to schools, resume, cover letter tips. I'll do financial tips as well. But that's something I don't do right now. And it is very important, whether you make it pro and you make a bunch of money, or whether you've missed the cut and you don't make it and now you need to figure something else out. Finance is very important, and everything costs a lot, especially nowadays. Inflation's up a bunch. So finance is definitely important. It's something I definitely got to focus on to help teach other guys.
And that's what I'm here for too. So you don't got to do it by yourself. We family here.
Well, what would some of your tips be for if you're just teaching somebody who has no financial literacy, where they should start saving, budgeting, that type of stuff?
I would say first things first is check your bank account. That's the first things first. And look at what you spend your money on. Some people spend their money $20 on food every day. Somebody you just go out and spend random things on food. You really don't calculate your money, and not just food, just any expenses. That's what I would say. First, check your bank account. Second, invest your money where you can't take a loss in. So that's a huge thing. And third, invest your money in something that's going to create compound interest. Those the three biggest things that I can say when you are looking to manage your money, and just looking to grow your money, focus on those two things. And that's where we really specialize in. And I would love to add a class for your players just to give them a little knowledge, just hop on that lockdown academy. So I'll teach something for them. But those are the three biggest things I would say.
Can you
Because
expand on the second one a bit more? You got me curious. You said
of
invest.
course.
I got the FaceTime things
Okay,
on.
good. Oh, they like you. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Shout out Coach
you
Erik.
probably have it here. Do a thumbs up. You probably have it too.
Let me see. Nah, it's just like
Okay.
you.
So the second one was invest where you won't take a loss. Could you just
Mhm.
expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, so we have a financial product called an IUL, and it's used through life insurance. A lot of times people don't realize this, but Disney World uses this to create Disney World. McDonald's uses this to create McDonald's, and the companies goes on and on. But it's basically creating your own bank. And the cool thing is, let's say you want to put away $100 or $200 a month.
Mhm.
That money's going to accumulate in the stock market, and you can't take a loss. So that's the cool thing. And the thing is, you don't got to wait until retirement age to pull from the money. You can pull from it whenever you want to. So I'll give you a little example. Let's say you have $100 in this regular stock market, right? And you have $100 in the IUL. If the stock market drops down 50%, how much you going to have in that stock market?
It'll be 50.
Mm-hmm. Now let's say the stock market goes back up 50%. Now how much do you have?
If it goes up 50% from 50, it'd be $75.
Exactly. So is in the IUL, if the stock market drops, you're only going to be at $100. If it goes back up 50%, now you're at 150, while the other person's stock market is only at 75.
Wow.
So having that compound interest going over time, you just making money, and you can pull from it whenever you want. So now when it's time to make an investment, want to buy a house or want to flip something, you can pull from it, and it's still going to show like the money's in your bank account. And that's the cool thing. So now you're building interest off of liquid cash that you have right now, but it's still showing like the cash is in the bank. And the cool thing is you never have to pay the money back because it's an insurance policy, and insurance is just transfer of risk. So they're going to insure you for a certain amount of money. Now, let's say they insure you for $1 million or something. So let's say you have $100,000 you want to take out. You never have to pay that $100,000 back. What the insurance companies would do is they'll take out $100,000 from your death benefit. So now instead of getting $1 million, you only have $900,000. So it's just
That's interesting to hear about.
So I guess that's what I'm really
What's the
passionate.
downside? You got to pay a little bit in fees.
And no fees. It's all tax free. That's the cool thing
What's
about
the
it.
downside to it? It sounds too good to be true.
No downside. That's the thing. That's why you look at it. A lot of these wealthy companies, like look at Diddy right now. A lot of times, like it's protected from governments. Like if somebody tries to sue you, they can't touch that money either. And it's crazy. That's why Diddy, you hear sometimes when people get in trouble, they start pouring money into life insurance policies because it's protected. And
Oh,
if
wow.
somebody tries to sue you or something, they can't get to the money. So yeah,
That's a good little hack.
Yeah, literally. So it's just different financial products that I've been going to school for so long. Like
They don't teach you about
they
it.
don't teach you none of that. So it's just little financial hacks and just financial products that we're really big on giving back to the next generation and just athletes nowadays. Because think about it, now you got NIL deals. Now you got players that's making $100,000, $200,000. They're gonna blow it like that. They're gonna look up out of college. It's gonna be like, dang, what the heck happened? Like I remember I had refunds, and all that money's gone. So just really, it's not too much to invest a lot of money, but just put something away over time. That's going to grow interest for you to actually be able to see a great return. Because if you play in the stock market, you can take a loss. You really got to be an expert doing all that stuff instead of might as well put your money in a safe place. It's going to be tax free and just create compound interest and be able to really invest your money in the long term.
Yeah, that's smart. I think it's really important too, starting young or when you actually start making money. Because what's the average career like? A few years. So
Yeah,
guys,
a few years.
you might ask people what they want to do when they grow up. It's just NFL and not thinking about after that. Even most guys it's only a few years, and then it's not like that money's going to last you for the next 60 years.
Exactly. Exactly. That's why you see so many. I didn't realize, but 70% of NFL players go bankrupt.
What?
And yeah, I didn't
70?
realize that. Yeah, 70.
Is that like a recent stat?
I remember. I'm not sure
That is
how recent it
crazy.
is. My old head coach told me it. Let's see.
I'm gonna search it up right now.
Yeah, I'm about to say you got it or I got it. See if it's still 70%. He just told me that the other day, so it shouldn't
Wow.
be too
That's
far.
like lottery. There's a stat for the lottery winners also, how most of them just go bankrupt or
Mm-hmm.
even commit suicide because it ruins them. Like if you don't have
Exactly.
that financial literacy, even if you get lucky and have all that money, you don't know what to do with it.
Exactly.
80% of NFL players go broke in their first 3 years out of the league.
It's
Wow,
at
this
80%.
article is from Forbes in 2015.
Wow, it's at 80%.
Yeah, that's what this one says.
Wow. See.
That is in the first 3 years.
Mm-hmm. Because that's the thing. Like I remember I was talking to some athletes. They just got like 900,000 sitting in their account, not growing no interest, not being
Yeah,
particular, doing
then
nothing.
you're just losing money on it because if you look a
Exactly.
few years back, I don't know what the official inflation numbers have been, but if you just look at the price of everything, it's went up. Seems like a bunch of stuff has doubled in price. So if it's just sitting in the account and not growing at all,
Mm-hmm.
you're not just saving it, you're losing money on it.
Exactly. And that's the thing that's the barrier that I'm trying to break with these players that's playing in the game right now to think like, okay, think future. Even if you make it to the NFL, even if you go to the next level, what's after that? You still only have 4 or 5 years of playing in the league. And then what happens in the next 20 years, 30 years, when you get 50, 60, you're not going to be playing no more. So you want to make sure that you're really set for life instead of just being set for right now.
Mm-hmm. As a player who has school going on, or maybe it's just football, but they got a bunch of film, they got maybe as a student athlete, they have a test this week. If it's pros, they just got to really focus in because it's their life depending on every week in, week out. Where do you think a good starting point would be? Because I'm sure it's very overwhelming. I was lucky. My high school had a couple of business classes I took. I took business in university, so I just had that background as I was getting older. But
Mm-hmm.
where would be a good starting point in terms of to educate yourself? Would it be finding a specific somebody to listen to like yourself, or if there's like a book you recommend or something that where people should start when they just feel completely lost? There's crypto, there's investments, there's TFSA. They don't know where to start.
So that's a great question. So I would say tell people where to start from the inside. And what I'm doing right now is so beautiful and so cool. The company in Canada, they actually gave me an opportunity. And everybody else has the same opportunity, but to actually start their own life insurance agency. So I would tell people learn from the inside. We have trainings daily. I'm talking about 8:30 to 9:30 a.m. So it doesn't have to be too much overwhelming, but really the two biggest things I would say is have conversations and connect with the right people. And that's why I'm really trying to be the voice of being the person that they can just connect with, because I have all the information. Now I'm being able to be in rooms that back in the day I wasn't able to be in when you're talking about different money. So it's really about changing your conversations and trying to find the right thing. And that's why I'm so big on really teaching people how to create generational wealth within this business. And it takes a process, right? It doesn't happen overnight, and it's really it's really a mindset. But after you have that mindset that, hey, I'm willing to learn, show me, then that's the first step, because we have financial products that we can literally show you within 5 to 10 minutes, and then you get it like that. But
Just
just
that
really
first step they have to take.
is that first step. Exactly.
I'm gonna relate that back to defensive back because
Mhm.
I was hoping you keep explaining it and saying it's
Mhm.
the conversations was great. So I'll paint two different pictures. There's one, a player who, he cares about it, but he's not like he's dying to succeed in it. So he'll go do a one-on-one rep. He might lose, put his head down, just walk back to the sideline and go back. Compared to somebody else, if he's doing a rep, he might get beat a bit. He's still sprinting as fast as he can to get his tag in, try to get the ball out, go up to coach, ask what to do better next time. After practice, get one of your teammates out there, work on that same route 10 times, get the reps in. So just like the same skills, having the conversations and just shifting your mindset towards learning about it or putting in more work.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same stuff we were talking about before, how it just applies on the field. But then when you go into actual business life too, you got to just approach it with that same mindset. And I like to use the term fully immerse yourself in it and really just be a part of. So if everything's defensive back, it's I'm watching something for defensive back every day. I'm working on my footwork however many times a week. I'm getting my compete reps in, and I'm just really living it. I'm watching a bunch of highlights. I'm watching a bunch of film for financial side of it. If I'm having a bunch of conversations, if I'm learning from different resources, if I'm spending extra time doing my research on my own, then when you fully surround yourself in a certain subject, there's no way you're not going to get better at it.
Exactly. And I like to translate my business like I was still playing in the game, you know, like I still have my first, second, third, fourth quarters in the game. Whether it's me personally, I switch it over, like I'm helping a client, right? That's going to be my first quarter. And I got to make sure that he can get approved. That's the second quarter. Then it may be some loopholes or something. I got to call up some different companies. That's the third quarter. And then the fourth and final quarter is once he gets approved and he able to get that insurance or investment account, then the game's done. And that's where I feel like that helps me a lot versus somebody that hasn't played the sport. Sometimes that they feel like if the game goes too fast for them, it's basically like you was in high school, right? Then you got to college. When you made that transition, the game went fast for you. And then once you started, it'd be like,
and
okay,
training with pro guys, and you're like, okay, this is a different speed.
It's a different speed. And then you get used to it. It's like, okay, this is actually just like high school, just a little bit different. I just got to tweak some things here and there, and then you'll be able to succeed. And I feel like whatever you do in life, as long as the game slows down for you and you really get to the knowledge that you need to get to succeed in that, that's going to be a huge step for sure. So how do you encourage personal growth and development off the field to your athletes?
Off the field?
Mm-hmm.
I just like to always try to show people that you just want to be the best that you can be. So I went to Queen's University, and it's known for its really good academics. So being around other guys who tried really hard in football, but also hard in school and community and doing professional things as well, it was just kind of the norm, and you're just in that community. But now training guys, if you go to a high school and it has poor academics, or somebody's not really focusing on anything else, it's not a priority with kids. So I like to try and make sure they're on time to the sessions, make sure that they're doing well enough in school, because you have to be a good student to get recruited, even if you don't like it. That's just the way it goes. And just being good people also. So the little things like picking up garbage when we're going out the field, always trying to leave it better than how we found it. Just being nice, introducing people to each other so they learn how to shake hands and make connections. And if the parents are around, we'll talk for a bit before we get to work. And just always trying to be good people. It's you don't want to just be great in one part of life and then let everything else die off and not put lots of effort in. You want to be the best you can in every aspect of life.
For sure. So where does most of your online clients come from? Canada side or USA?
That's I would say it's pretty even right now. And one thing that surprises, there's a few guys from overseas. So one guy is in China. There's a few different guys in Europe. It's small right now. At this point, it's October 31st, 2024. I got, I think, like 10, 11 guys on Lockdown Academy right now. The funny thing is, about a week and a half ago, I had about 15, 16, but I'm still working on transferring a couple of guys to the new app. Not everybody likes to check their phone. I got a few in Canada, guys who aren't in my area, a few in the States in different locations, and then a few overseas. So it'll be interesting to see how football keeps growing. Of course, States is on top, but it's really growing in Europe and just other places around the world too.
Yeah. So do you notice a difference in mentality from the different countries? And if so, what are they?
That's a great question. That's a good one. I would say I haven't worked with enough guys yet to really give some good insights. I would say it's more of a person to person basis right now, but I will say whoever is in an area that doesn't have access to a bunch of the resources like good quality training, For example, guys I trained France or another one, I think he's in Germany. They're always asking questions. They're always hungry to learn. One guy I trained in the UK, I was just doing a lot of Q&A with him today. And it's really, I can't say too much of just overall general location, but you really can see the difference with guys who are making great use of it. So they're in a situation where they don't have somebody they could just ask a bunch of questions to and get training from. So they're making the most of it. And that's the beauty of it being online in Canada. I'm able to help out guys in the States and Europe, all around the world. So I can't give you a direct answer on that. When we talk again in maybe a few months, and then I might have a better answer for it.
All right, cool. So can you share a personal story or overcoming adversity, and what did you learn from that?
There's a ton of it, and sometimes I think about these types of questions and what would I say if I was asked this in a job interview, like greatest weakness or overcoming adversity. And one thing that really sticks to my mind for one time I had to overcome adversity was I broke my hand. I don't know if you could see the scar. When it gets cold, it kind of shows more. So this was week 2 of 2022, and I broke my hand. It was from making a big tackle. I looked at my hand, and there was just a giant bump. I'm like, oh, shit, I broke my bone. I didn't think it was even possible for me to get hurt. I had a very lucky career until that point. I look at it. It was broke. It's like, oh, shit, how do I overcome this now? So the same, I'll talk about the game right after it and then moving on. So during the game, I heard it right before halftime. My trainer taped it up. She put something hard on it, taped it up. I was like, all right, bet, I'm still playing. It hurts, but I'm throwing myself around and just going. It was actually a beautiful experience because I didn't know if I'd even play anymore that season. And it was only week 2. So I just started diving into tackles. I started flying around the field. I tried to get in as much action as possible. And even with one hand, it actually ended up being one of my better games. It was a lot of fun. So dealing with adversity in the time when something goes wrong, if you're in the heat of the moment, if you're in the game, you got to just say, F it, I'm not dealing with this now. I'm focusing on the mission and just locking in. It could be if something goes wrong in business, but you got a deadline to hit. You got to just lock in and just get the job done. After the game, I always wanted to be the most committed, the most dedicated person I can. And actually, in my last 2 years, I won our team's most dedicated award because I was just trying to be as committed as possible. So after the game, I drove myself to the hospital. I got there at we left Ottawa. I got there at like 2 a.m. I was there until 8:30 in the morning. They had to do the x-rays. They put me in a cast. So I could have taken the easy way out and went home and slept. But I just slept for probably 2 hours, drove to our team's post-game day stretch, the routine, like some yoga, some stuff on the field, the active recovery stuff. And then participated there. Everybody's like, yo, are you okay? The cast. I was like, whatever, I'm still doing this. And then from there, I was actually able to play that week. They just clubbed it up. And then I had to get surgery, which was a really weird experience getting surgery in season because I was out for a couple of weeks. I wasn't able to work out for 1 week. I felt like my arms were getting a bit smaller. I wasn't allowed to run around. So dealing with adversity, and this is where I'm actually going to talk about more of the adversity side of it. So I got hurt. I was out for a while. What do you do to come back? If you get hurt, if something goes wrong, you can't just sit on the sidelines and pout. You can't just wait for the next chance. You have to make the most out of your time and do all you can do in that moment. So what I did, as soon as I was healthy, I wasn't allowed for contact for another week, but every single play in practice, I would do like a 25, 30-yard sprint on the side. I jogged back to simulate that I was in. When the play actually was on, I would stand at the back like I was safety and kind of just go through my reads and where I would go. And then I'd be watching a lot of film too. So I missed 2 games. I'd watch the game. I'd picture myself in that position. I wanted to just do all I could to mimic like I was playing that whole time, still getting the running in, still getting the mental side of it in. And then when I actually came back, I wasn't rusty at all. I was in better shape and I was playing at a higher level. So it's kind of a short little story, kind of long, but when things go wrong, there's a few things you really have to focus on. Not feeling sorry for yourself and pouting and just saying, why me? You have to understand adversity happens to everybody. You have to think, what can I do to get the most out of this experience? If you get hurt, watching a lot more film, running on the side if you can, going through all the mental reps in person and when you're watching film. And then also, how can I help my team out? So if you have to help your coaches, if you have to film some stuff, whatever you can do to still be a part of the team, still contribute to the goal, you have to do it. So any adversity, just focus on, okay, this sucks. Moving on. How can I make the most out of the situation?
And that's crazy that you mentioned. First of all, that's a great story, and just what you had to go through. You had to drive yourself to the hospital. Not only that, I know they came back. You wasn't starting right away, so now you had to go in the back and give really, how can I say, reprogram your mind. It just act like you're on the field doing DB reps while they practicing and different things like that. And I had to do the same thing with quarterback, and I didn't realize in the moment how much that helped me out in the long run.
Yeah.
So
makes you appreciate it too.
It makes you appreciate it a lot. So for you to actually be in the moment and just appreciate everything while you're going through that, man, that's special. And that speaks highly on your character for sure.
It helped being safety because I was able to actually go really far back and still get the same vision of everything. So it's just be creative, find whatever you can do to keep getting better as you go. And then as soon as you're back on the field, you haven't missed a beat.
For sure. So now we get to the hot seat question of the interview. You ready for this?
Okay. I'm ready.
What's your favorite song and why?
Favorite? Oh, you know what the funny thing is? I get asked that a few times. I'm like, I don't really know. Okay, I'll say a few different songs I have that are favorite. What just gets me hyped up? I'd say I hate to take so long to answer the question because I know it's supposed to be quick, but I'm having trouble picking. I'll go artists. I like Future a lot. Okay. He's really good. When I got to work out, he got some hard tracks. I just get me in the zone. Future's really good. I like Tory Lanez. He's from the area. He makes some good music and kind of that type of stuff. So favorite song, I don't know. It's tough to choose. Right now, I've been listening to that new G Herbo album a lot when I've been working out. So it's been pretty good, but I don't know for favorite song.
Good. Next question. Is this because you mentioned it? Do you think Tory Lanez did it or not?
No, I don't. Free
Okay.
Tory. Good. First of all, I probably would have said that anyways. But when you look at some of the details, it doesn't really add up. I trust Tory, and not to get into it too much on this podcast, but I believe Meg has got a lot of people in her corner. The industry's behind her, Hollywood's behind her. So I think he's an innocent man.
All right, cool. Craziest thing you've done to impress a girl?
Craziest thing I've done. Oh, I don't know. I wish I had answers. I'm kind of a boring person, I focus on football a lot. I don't have too many experiences. I've had a couple girlfriends, but I got one right now. I don't think I've done anything that crazy to impress a girl. I wish I could answer that because that'd be a really funny question.
Yeah, we had stories, guys.
Do you have one for that? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we just had a lot of crazy stories. Yeah, somebody said he got injured and he had to use his stilts, the little one leg higher than the other just to walk straight. So he kept them in for a couple more months later. She said he was like 6'3", but he was really like 6 foot, but he was 6'3" with it on. So he had it on for a little bit longer, going on dates with it. And we had a couple crazy stories.
That's funny.
Yeah, we keep out. So make sure y'all go check out them hot seat questions for sure.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I wish I had a better answer for that one too.
Now you good. I appreciate you for coming on today, Coach. Anything you want to say to your fans and supporters out there?
I would just say thank you for having me on, and we talked a little bit about defensive back mentality as an athlete, transitioning to business, and it's all really important. I would just say that when you're going through it, when you have football to worry about, when you have school, if you start a business also, or later as you go, just get into finance or business, whatever it is, just try to be the best that you can in it. We'll just keep bringing back the same two themes that we've talked about a couple of times in this. Is talking about having the conversations, learning from people above you, teammates, coaches, guys who are more experienced, always be a student, and then also put in a lot of work yourself. So don't wait till tomorrow. Like Apollo Creed said, there is no tomorrow. Put in the work today. Get on the field, get in a lot of reps. If you're a defensive back who needs training, you can hit me up at Pick Six Athletics on any social media, and I can help you out. And it's really just a lot of it comes down to those two things. Business-wise, also, your network is super important. So always meet guys on your team, meet people in your classes. Don't be quiet. Everybody wants to meet each other and have the same goals. And as you get into professional life, the people you meet are very important. And one thing I'll leave it off with is just the idea that you're the only one who sets limits on yourself. So whether you think of yourself as a backup or somebody who will only make this much money or whatever vision you have of yourself, you're never going to become better than that. So you have to raise your vision of yourself, raise the standards. Whatever you think is possible is, if you work for it and if you learn the right things, if you put in a lot of work, you're the only one who could set those boundaries on yourself. You're the only one who could limit yourself.
I love it, man. I love it. I'd love to have you come back on the show one more time. For sure.
I'm gonna have to have some more experiences in life and give you some better answers for you.
Yeah, for sure. We're gonna definitely get another one there. Well, make sure you guys comment, like, and subscribe to the channel. We got some more fire coming for y'all, so make sure y'all stay tuned. Let me end the stream. Okay,
I'm still thinking about that thing.
The craziest thing you did for a girl?
I just feel like I haven't done anything crazy. I guess I'm not romantic enough.
Yeah, I'm going enough. You gotta do something. Well, I ain't gonna. What's the craziest thing we heard? I'm trying to think. The craziest thing we heard. What is the craziest thing we heard? Man, what's the craziest thing we heard?
All right, so who said they put stuff in their shoes and make them taller?
Yeah, the sticks.
Yeah, that was really funny. That's good. I know my mentality was like, oh, I gotta work out a bunch so I look easy, and then they like me. Or I was like, oh, they like this guy, like, I'm gonna become the best football player or like super successful, you know? But I haven't done anything like spontaneous like that. the making themselves taller. That's a really funny one.
That's a good one. Number one, somebody else said they flew and they drove back on the same day. And they flew like 6 hours or something crazy, and then they drove back the same day.
Oh my god, that's funny. I know one of my teammates, he back during COVID, like stuff was locked down, not everything was open. He drove from his house. He lives like an hour away from here, but the girl lives in this area. He drove here, picked her up, drove all the way back. They went to a restaurant or whatever. Then he drove her back here. Then I'm like, bro, it's 4 hours of driving.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
That's crazy. 4 hours. That's insane.
You gotta drive fast.
For sure. Well, I appreciate you for coming on today, Brody. For sure. My posse said you did really good.
Thank you. You think it went pretty well? Like we hit all the stuff you wanted to with business, football, whatever.
For sure. And I know we're gonna get some more engagement. So I know the fans gonna want to have you back on. That's I'm like, yeah, we definitely gotta do another one for sure.
Yes, sir. That's awesome. All right, well, I appreciate it. I love how you got a team with you also, and you're building towards this. And I like what you said with when you asked me if I'm training my guys for financial literacy at all, because that's definitely something to do.
Yeah, sure.
And we're gonna have that.
And let me let's get together too. Like I said, it's like a 5, 10, 15-minute conversation. I'm gonna show you the numbers for real. We can just do it on Zoom or something, just so I can show you. Remember what we was talking about, the IUL?
Yeah.
So just I can show you, and it's really cool. We got that, and we got annuities. So I know, and coaching is like your own retirement plan, your own everything. So it's definitely going to be something good for sure. For sure.
So that sounds good. Did you edit the colors, or was it naturally the blue and white?
No, it was naturally the blue
Oh,
and
I'm
white.
wondering. That's the exact same as my
Oh, it's
logo.
not. Yeah, just as you see, and it's cool. I just upgraded this. You can actually put your logo on it, but I'm trying to figure out how to do all of that still. Like I said, this is our first time actually even going live. They gave you some love. Look, they gave you the thumbs up. They gave you some love.
That was funny when I said 2, and then I don't even remember what happened. The balloons came
Mhm.
up.
There
That,
you go.
that FaceTime camera.
Like I said, nah, they like you. And we gonna make sure we go on TikTok and all the platforms this time. Right now we just on LinkedIn, and YouTube, but we definitely gonna start promoting it more. Like I said, we just got the upgrade, so we definitely about to do some more things with the lives. I'm liking the lives for sure.
Yeah, it's nice when it's in person. You could both sit there, but this is a
Mhm.
great substitute, and it makes it pretty easy to edit too because you got the 2
Yeah.
cameras. If AI is not doing it, you could just edit it.
Exactly. So that's the easy. That should be the easy part, right? Just making sure it's just set up. That should
Yeah.
be the easy
Plus,
part.
here we got the studio light.
Yeah, no, that's cool too.
Actually, I can't believe how much better it looks. It just follows me too.
Mm.
When I go here.
Oh, it does. Yeah. That's actually cool. Like, yeah, we definitely had to use the studio. Like, this is my first time even doing all that.
Yeah, technology is doing its part.
Man, for real. You don't even need a real camera no more.
Literally, just on the laptop.
Literally. All right, Brody. I'm about to hop. I gotta do another show. But dang, I gotta do a client. I gotta help Adam out with his bread. Can we do that first?
We can do ours another time.
All right,
All
cool.
right, well, appreciate you.
All right, no,
Looking
all right,
forward to the clips that come out.
I got you. This should be coming out sometime around next week, so I'll send you all everything.
Solid. Can't wait.
All right,
All right,
cool.
have a good night.
All right,
Appreciate you. Thank you for the team also. Thanks to your dad.
for sure, for sure. He said thank you.
Thank you.
He said thank you. Good meeting you as well.
You
You
too.
definitely gonna stay in touch.
All right, guys. Take
All
care.
right,
Appreciate
you
you.
too.